Now here at Over the Vest, we're continually looking for new and improved varieties, ones that are going to provide really good color in our neighborhoods, that are going to perform well, and if possible, varieties that don't need a whole lot of care and attention. Often that means that we'll look for varieties of native plants. Native plants are ones that have obviously adapted well to our winters, to our summers, and to the conditions that plants have to deal with in our gardens. And what's interesting now that in front of us here are 4 selections of our native Ninebark. Now our native Ninebark is a very tough, hardy, durable plant, widely used in Europe for environmental schemes and planted literally by the hundreds of thousands, way up into Scandinavia and probably into places like Siberia and so on too. Now what's interesting is that these 4 selections have been hybridized by Tim Wood at Spring Meadow Nurseries, all taking advantage of a single seedling that occurred in a nursery in Hamburg that had purple leaves. It was called Diablo. It grew 12 to 15 foot high and unfortunately suffered from a disease called mildew, which is a kind of white covering that you get on the leaves and disfigures them. Well, Tim set out to see if he could improve them, to shorten them, to make them more disease resistant, and if possible to try and enhance the color of that naturally occurring plant. Well, he started out and crossed it with a more compact growing selection of our native one and came up with this very nice variety called Summer Wine. Here's one that gets to about 8 to 10 foot high, has the purple leaves as you see, gorgeous little white flowers that come out in early summer, has a very nice cascading habit if you don't prune it back, and yet inherits all the hardiness and reliability of the native species. Not content with that, then they started to look to see if they could add more color into the plant. So they came up with this selection called Ginger Wine. And as you see, here's one that has very bright colors and lovely red stems, and again, attractive little flowers that come out in early summer, still retaining all the hardiness and reliability of the native species I was telling you about. Then look to see what happened. They produced this little small one here called Tiny Wine. This is still inheriting all the hardiness and reliability of the native species, but in a more compact growing plant. This one only gets to about 4 to 6 foot high. And then look at this baby. This is one called Summer Wine Black. Amazing to see the depth of color that this variety has. Also look at the red stems and remember that this one also flowers with the dainty little pinkish flowers that it has on it too. This one grows about 6 to 8 foot high. So as you see, there's lots of colored foliage that's weather resistant, plants that are durable, plants that are very hardy and easy to look after, plants that you can use as a single specimen. You could plant these as a kind of informal hedge. You can also take them, of course, and plant them in a mass planting where you're able to enjoy this long-lasting foliage that goes all through the whole growing season and often finishes with a nice flush of autumn color. So wonderful to be able to offer you really tough, hardy, reliable plants that, as you see, are expertly grown. They're vigorous and tough and reliable and just waiting to get planted out in your garden so that you can enjoy all this color and reliability and also not have to worry about looking after them too much. These are 4 beautiful selections of our native Physocarpus from proven winners.